The following video is one program in a series of safety training tapes produced by the Lancer Insurance Group for the exclusive benefit of our policyholders. Understanding the passenger transportation industry as we do, we know that it is impossible to define every prevention step, hazard, legal issue, or safety technique that the professional driver is faced with every day. Therefore, the safety suggestions presented here and in each of our training tapes are given as guidelines only to better prepare you to handle the numerous problems that can arise during the performance of your duties. Driver fatigue is a deadly serious problem. As a professional driver, you are much more likely to be driving tired than the rest of the motoring public. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration indicates that an average of 100,000 crashes annually are cited by police reports as caused by driver fatigue. These crashes result in about 71,000 non-fatal injuries and 1,500 fatalities every year. But these statistics most likely underreport the extent of fatigue-related crashes by more than 2/3 because, all too often, investigators miss the telltale signs that would properly identify driver fatigue as the reason for a crash. What's worse, many drivers don't even recognize when they have nodded off at the wheel. And the fatigue problem is growing more dangerous as Americans sleep less in their daily push to do more. In fact, with a New Jersey law already on the books, many states are actively considering legislation to charge drivers who fall asleep at the wheel with reckless driving, and with vehicular manslaughter if a fatality results from a drowsy driver crash. Besides death and taxes, there is another certainty of life. You have to sleep. Sleep is not voluntary, and there is no compromising on a good night's sleep for overall health and well-being. Being sleepy is dangerous in a variety of ways. It affects your ability to function well, slows reaction time, decreases awareness and motivation, and impairs your judgment. When you're behind the wheel of a motor vehicle, fatigue is likely to cause a crash. As the person in the driver's seat, you have the ultimate responsibility to do everything you can to be well rested and alert every time you drive. Fatigue is the condition of a person's mind and body and how it affects his or her response to everyday activities. The specific pressures of professional driving, accepting certain trips, trying to accommodate customer demands, and pride in on-time arrivals can be factors in driving tired. Although it seems obvious, the best way to avoid fatigue and keep functioning at peak level is to get the proper amount of quality sleep. Sleep that allows your body to fully rest and regenerate. The more you know about fatigue, what it is, what causes it, and how it affects your driving, the safer you and your passengers will be. Keep in mind that even though everyone is different, we all share certain biological and physiological characteristics that will affect how we function. And sleep, or the lack of it, is at the core of it all. There are two states of sleep: non-rapid eye movement, or NREM, and rapid eye movement, or REM, sleep. Sleep begins with NREM light sleep and cycles through light to deep sleep. Most sleep is NREM sleep, in which a person can toss and turn, talk, sleepwalk, and even dream. In REM sleep, we spend 80% of this time having dreams. Studies have shown, however, that brain activity during REM sleep is busier than when we are awake, and yet all voluntary muscles in our bodies, except those controlling the eyes and breathing, are paralyzed. During a 6 to 8 hour sleep period, the body has 4 to 6 sleep cycles between NREM and REM sleep, lasting about 90 minutes each. This NREM and REM sleep mix during a normal sleep period performs vital functions for a well-maintained, energized mind and body. Disrupting these functions will cause fatigue, and that is why most adults perform best with 7 to 9 hours of uninterrupted sleep. The final 90 minutes of this sleep cycle is all REM sleep, and this last 90 minutes actually provides more than 35% of the sleep you need to rejuvenate and energize the proper functioning of your body. If this critical phase of sleep is interrupted, you can be tired all day. There are a number of reasons why you can become sleep deprived, including some sleep disorders that can seriously interrupt sleep. These disorders include insomnia, the inability to sleep; narcolepsy, sudden falling asleep several times during the day; restless leg syndrome, involuntary leg and arm movements waking you up during sleep; and the most common, sleep apnea. It is estimated that 20% of professional drivers are afflicted with sleep apnea. If your neck measures more than 18 inches, if you are male, or if you are significantly overweight, chances are you have sleep apnea. Sleep apnea occurs when, during sleep, the affected person stops breathing and then suddenly wakes up without remembering any of it. The sleeper is usually snoring and can literally wake up hundreds of times a night. The disruption to restful sleep is severe, and sufferers of sleep apnea are almost always fatigued. If left untreated, sleep apnea can cause stroke, diabetes, high blood pressure, and kidney failure. If you suspect you may be affected, contact your doctor to help you deal with the problem. Another factor that will have a powerful effect on your alertness and driving performance is the circadian rhythm, our natural biological cycle of roughly 24 hours. The circadian rhythm programs us to sleep at night and stay awake during the day. In fact, if you drive at night and sleep during the day, you will get, on average, 2.5 hours less rest, because your daily circadian functions are drastically changed by your sleep patterns. The normal circadian rhythm causes body temperatures to rise during the day and drop at night. It slows our digestive systems at night, raises growth hormone levels at night to help us repair our bodies, increases hormones that help us sleep during the night hours, and increases hormones that make us feel alert in the morning hours. This internal clock controls our bodies. Sunlight, mealtimes, bedtimes, and other daily schedules are the triggers that reset our clocks every day. So it is highly resistant to schedule change and can work against you when you have varying shifts. If you understand what is happening to your body and why it's happening, relatively out of your ability to control its functioning, you will be better able to defend against the dangers of fatigue. Does this sound familiar? You've just had lunch and you've been back on the road for a couple of hours. Suddenly, you can't seem to keep your eyes open. What you don't know is that your blood pressure has dropped and your core body temperature has dropped 1 to 1.5 degrees. Your body is trying to put you to sleep. You are having what is medically known as a post-lunch dip. It happens to us all, but for a professional driver, the results can be catastrophic. In a 24-hour day, the body's circadian rhythm actually determines specific times when you will be most alert and specific times when you will have low points that affect your performance. In general, if we take 6 a.m. as an average waking time, we reach an alert period from about 9 a.m. to noon. Then we have a post-lunch dip in energy, somewhere between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. Our energy rises again in the early evening, between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. Then, between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m., our body is telling us we should be asleep. It's during these times of energy dips that our general performance and response rates decline dramatically. It's no small coincidence that Lancer Insurance Company's accident data show a majority of severe claims occur during these low points in alertness. In fact, the highest number of fatal accidents occurs during the early morning hours, between 2 and 6 a.m., even though that is when the least number of vehicles are on the road. Because professional drivers don't always have regular 9 to 5 shifts, you have to pay special attention to how well you can adapt to disruptions in your circadian rhythm cycles. People can have different sleep personalities. About 15% of the population have morning lark personalities, and 15% are night owls. Larks are early birds who prefer to go to sleep early in the evening and like to wake up early in the morning. They feel more comfortable and alert working in the morning hours. Night owls often stay awake late at night and would prefer to sleep later in the morning. There is also some evidence that night owls can more easily adapt to shift changes than the lark personality. So you should be aware of whether your natural tendencies lean toward a lark or a night owl or somewhere in between, and try to schedule your shifts to accommodate these preferences. Let's review some important points. The best way to avoid fatigue and keep functioning at peak level is to get the proper amount of quality sleep. The normal sleep cycle, consisting of NREM and REM sleep, performs vital functions for a well-maintained, energized mind and body. If this normal sleep mix is continually interrupted, it will cause fatigue. Sleep apnea severely affects normal sleep and is the most common sleep disorder, affecting about 20% of professional drivers. Our 24-hour circadian rhythm programs us to sleep at night and stay awake during the day. Sunlight, meal times, and other daily schedules are triggers that reset the circadian clocks every day. And since this function is biological and out of our control, drivers with varying shifts may have difficulty combating fatigue. Be especially aware of the post-lunch dip, when the circadian clock lowers your body temperature and tries to put you to sleep. Determine whether you tend to have a morning lark or a night owl sleep personality, and try to adjust your schedules to fit your preference. Driver fatigue can be better managed when everyone in the company works together to combat the problem. Talk to your supervisors about scheduling and company policy regarding fatigue. Your company should make it clear that if you need to stop your limo due to fatigue, it is allowed. If you have irregular daily shifts, or you don't know from day to day when you are working, it's often impossible for you to really get your sleep schedule in order. If you are awake for 8 or more hours before driving, you could be going on 16 or more hours awake as your shift ends. The more hours awake, the more you are fatigued. Your ability to function properly begins to drop at the 13th hour of being awake and continues to decline to the point where, if you are awake for 17 hours, your performance level is equal to a blood alcohol concentration of 0.05, which is higher than the legal limit of 0.04 for commercial drivers. At 23 hours awake, you are functioning at the equivalent of a 0.08 blood alcohol level, which is legally drunk for civilian drivers. This makes those last hours of a trip very high risk and increases the chances that you will fall asleep at the wheel. Does this sound familiar? You have been driving on a highway for some time when you suddenly find yourself coming out of a trance-like state. You cannot remember the last several miles you traveled. You may have missed your exit, or you may not know where you are. What you are experiencing is auto behavior syndrome. With ABS, you are so tired that even though your eyes are wide open and you are steering the vehicle, your brain has shut down